Patrick, I played with England with Tony Adams. He was a massive influence on me actually in terms of how he played, how he sort of organised the back four. Always, what was he like at Arsenal? Obviously, you came into Arsenal. What was his influence on you?
He was the main man. Just the way that he was standing in there in the dressing room, or when he was leading the team, working through the tunnel. You said he's a true leader. He's a true leader. That's what I call a real captain. You know, he will take his responsibility. He's really vocal, and on the field, of course, he's got this kind of leadership. He's driving the players. But I loved Tony, how he was in the dressing room.
He got criticised a lot in his career, didn't he, Tony Adams? Maybe, did we give him enough credit? Maybe England stuff, yeah, the media would kind of poke fun at him quite a bit, wouldn't they? Maybe
the donkey stuff.
Yeah,
I think that was after that tournament in '88 where England would.
Yeah, but we're talking about Van Basten.
Exactly.
Tearing into pieces.
But maybe us as opposition players, maybe still don't give. You've played with him obviously with England. Yeah. Maybe don't give Tony Adams enough credit. Maybe. Yeah.
I think he's a type of players who make everybody, especially the defense, better because of the way that he's communicated with them.
I always think the best centre backs. They can carry a back four.
Yeah.
And Tony Adams did that. You think of Lee Dixon, Nigel Winterburn, brilliant for us, but they weren't international players. They didn't play for England.
But not just being smarter, Jamie. Tony Adams, a top defender, they have people around them.
Yeah, of course.
They don't get isolated. They have sitting at the full back. She's sitting going, "Don't isolate me." I think that's just football intelligence.
But I also think. When someone's that good at a centre-back, it almost feels like not anybody could play with them, but they can carry them through a game. I think for me, when I judge centre-back, it's not like, I get the checklist, he's great in the air, he's quick, he's good on the ball, all this stuff. The real best ones, they have leadership qualities where it feels like no matter who, basically the person playing next to them plays the best football they've played because they're alongside this one, they feel safe.
Tony had that.
Yeah.
And he's as well, he could recognise when we're in the game and it's not going well, and everybody just stay. Yeah. Don't go Patrick, don't go Manu, just wait. Let's just get the steam off of this.
Even when you weren't very good, generation before you, not very good, but you were still good and stuff. But we got a point there in '89 that was very instrumental in going on and winning the league at Anfield '89 that year. So Old Trafford was an incredibly difficult place to go, and I'd like to think during a kind of rivalry that Highbury and now the Emirates is a difficult place for United to go.
We found it quite easy, actually.
Even John O'Shea scored one year. Yeah. No, I mean, let's get serious because I'm interested to know what it's like when you've got one big rival, like we have with City and Liverpool, because that was your two teams. And we're just going to go back over the years here. There you go. Look at those 7 seasons. 5 out of 7, you were 1 and 2. Arsenal and United. Very, very similar to what we've got with Liverpool and City now, and just a couple of third-place finishes for United. What's it like when you've got one rival and that's the talk of the dressing room, Paul? In your day, it was Arsenal.
Well, it was one rival. I got asked the other day who our greatest rivals were, and people thought Chelsea and Liverpool, Manchester City of late, but it was always Arsenal. They were the best team. They were the toughest team we played against because they could do everything. They could play a beautiful game of football. They can be brilliant. They can have all the possession in the world, but they can grind a win out. They can go somewhere and win 1-0 and tough it out and tackle and head crosses away. I always found them. Some teams who are up there, third, fourth, you can maybe go and bully them a little bit. You can kick them off the pitch. Arsenal I always found them a team of men. You think about Tony, then they bring Vieira into it, and Petit, really tough, strong players like that. And I think we were a little bit the same. You think your Keanes, your Bruce, your Pallisters, your Paulins. There's always, I think, them best teams are mixed with toughness, but also a great team spirit and the ability to go with it. Don't get me wrong, ability is a massive thing, but a lot of it.
So you were in a similar circle to Liverpool and City are now. Liverpool today will expect City to win. At United, you always expected Arsenal to win. The margin for error was so fine, wasn't it?
I'd say from March onwards, probably, when you know, right?
We always said April, the Easter period.
March,
is so important,
oh, the Easter period.
You have to stay in the reach over Christmas, and you get a few more games, and then
winning them
two
April, games, you think over Easter, you think brilliant. Even the ones at Christmas, because probably at Christmas we knew it was going to be us or Arsenal, but you got your 3 or 4 little games over Christmas where you think if you win them, this could win us the league almost. That could almost win us the league. But
and then in April, if you get the results, and that's the time you usually look at your rivals. You know, after the Easter, you start to look at their results. This is what I'm saying. You get on with your own game, winning games, like you say, all the time. But then you kind of go, oh, how'd they get on today? Oh, what happened there? Oh, did that? Because you know it's that critical when you get to this stage of the season.
And it is psychological because, you know, say we win on a Saturday morning, you watch Arsenal on Sunday and think, oh, somebody's got them there. Last minute, they'll score a winner. It destroys you. It kills you. And then there's got to be another lift then.
You train as you play. You know, it's. I always say that if you're going to work against Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp every single day, then you just kick them to make sure that they kind of go away and and go and play on the other side of the pitch, because you don't want to be shown up every day of the week, you know. So you need some time off. So that was my excuse. And Steve Bold as well was at the club at the time with Martin as well, and we kept like people like Dennis Bergkamp on their toes. You know, we kind of think we improved them by testing them. You know, and if we didn't test them in training, they might have not have got to the level where they've got. So we felt that we were doing them a service whereby, you know, every single day we turned up and we tested him and said, look, you don't get no days off it. You know, when and it comes into your play because there's time before the first middle double or whatever I got, up at Middlesbrough away, and it was February, and it was a type of day where Dennis Bergkamp might not have fancied it. And I just had a little word with him as he got off the coach, and I said, we need you today, pal. And we need you today. No go hiding today. These are the days, you know, we've tested you in training every day of the week. We need you today. We need you to step up. And we won 1-0. He scored, and, you know, we went on to win the league. But sometimes you just need a little bit of a reminder. So, yeah, mine was very competitive. And getting back to your questions, I thought Teeny was outstanding. We had a scout, my chief scout, built the Arsenal scouting system for 40 years, a guy called Steve Rowley. The first thing he looked for, first on the agenda, attitude. So first, he didn't look for technical ability, or it would have been there, I suppose. Didn't look at anything else. He said, can this kid learn? Is he got the right attitude? Is he going to be there? And Teeny has. You know, and you've got something to work with there.
Just because you brought up their names, what were Henry and Bergkamp like when they first arrived at the club? How was their attitude? How did they take to the Tony Adams welcome to Arsenal club sort of thing?
Well, we had a set of principles. We had a set of ways of doing stuff. You know, we won 6 trophies before they come to the club. So we weren't, you know, there was an old guard there that were that knew how to work hard, and we got all our success in the early days by working and staying together. The group of players. There's no one person in the. You know, there's no egos.
Tony Adams, MBE, one of the greatest defenders to grace the game. Captained Arsenal, England, won 4 league titles, 3 FA Cups.
I did all right, mate. I did all right. I get to shows like this.
I need to ask you about England. I think for me, obviously the 1990 World Cup, that was probably the biggest moment for me. I was 9 years old. But then the 96 sort of brought it all back home again, you know. That's why we love football. It really captivated the nation. How was your take on Euro 96?
Luckily enough, you know, Euro 96, we actually went, hold on a minute, we've got some super players in this country, and they're actually outplaying Spain's and come that whiskers away from you know, to going into the final and bringing the trophy home. We had the 5 sorted. So I've kind of gone over to Terry and said, look, I'll take it. I maybe should have done. I've been England coach by now, wouldn't I? I remember coming into the dressing room after Gareth's done it, and I said, you've blown it, Gareth.
Is that what he said to you?
I said it, rude words, and I kind of checked, and he's in tears, the guy, but it kind of shook him out.
But I think he kind of
went, oh. I said, you've let us all down.
You let us all down. Did you mean it, or you
I think it was, as a leader, as a captain, you got to know how people tick, and Gareth's one of the good guys, and let's be honest, he's a cracking guy, and I knew I was comfortable doing it to him. Some people might not done.
Favourite Premier League goal or favourite goal you scored?
49. I've got 49. I smashed a few in with me. There's one comes to mind.
It's the celebration where you sort of you look round and it's like you're surveying your own crowd. It's just a special, iconic moment for me.
For me too.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was like one of those days where it all came together. You won the double and Tony Adams scores.
I was drinking drug-free and for 18 months, and then the explosion of the emotional and the mental stuff, and you smash it in, and I just went, oh, hallelujah.
What were you doing up there in the first place?
I played 6 years under George Graham, pulling the air out, going, come on, George, I can do this stuff. I can go for it, I can go and say, Tony, stay there.
That's not bad. It's all right, I got it.
Stay there. Okay.
You mentioned there Tony Adams, maybe one of your best friends. Something I had always wondered about, but it wasn't the right environment a couple of years ago in front of a crowd and everyone having a good time to ask you. The Tuesday Club, the drinking culture, would you have been aware as a good friend of Tony Adams that he was struggling with alcohol, or was it very hard to even notice in that environment?
Well, I was out of him a lot, and what it was with Tony, it was affecting his family life. And he knew, he couldn't remember half the nights what happened, and it was pretty much of a nuisance when he went out, and that was the real. He affected other players. The other players would just have a good drink and have a laugh and go home, but Tony would always end up falling over, and he was affecting other people. So I think he just come to that point where he wasn't enjoying his life anymore, and I think it was after '96, the European Championships. He come to that stage, and I think he was in tears at one stage. He said, I just can't go on like this. And that's when that's why I got so much respect for Tony. I had respect before, I roomed with him. He helped me out a lot in my career, certainly. I've roomed with him for 9 years. But he always had that willpower to say, if I'm going to do something, I make sure I do it. And that was the day he said, I'm giving up drinking. I'm never going to drink again. And it was hard for him. The first 2 years was really difficult. We never asked him out when we went out, socialising, because we still socialised a little bit, and we went out probably at the right times then.
Sure.
But he wouldn't come out, and he was so dedicated to say, right, I've got a problem. I'm going to make sure I can get over this problem. And he's done wonders. I mean, he hasn't drunk for 21 years, which is a real, test for himself to go through that, what he went through, and come out the other end, and he's like a breath of fresh air now. He's fantastic.
Did he have to say to you guys, right, don't ask me out anymore?
Yeah, absolutely. He told me all the time. He said, Ray, if you're going out, please don't ring me. And I said, of course I won't, Tone. I still went in training with him every morning.
Yeah.
And he'll always say, where did you go last night? What did you do? What did you get up to? It was a good night. But he would never go out with us until probably, further down the line, once he got a hold of the problem, then he would come out and he would drink water and no problem. And he could deal with the situation then. Probably early in when you give up drinking, it's very difficult to go out and socialise and mix with people having a drink around you.
Yeah.
And that's what he didn't want to get involved in, because he knew he maybe have another drink, and that's what he didn't want. So he got over to that stage. Obviously, he went to his counselling. He opened up his Sporting Chance Clinic, which was a real success for a lot of sportsmen who end up going into that clinic and helping them out, not just for alcohol, for every single like drugs, gambling, all them sort of things. And he helped so many people out as well. So he's, that's what he wanted to do. And credit to him to have that willpower to say something and make sure he does it.
Yeah.